Let me turn this on. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. At this time, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the City Council, City of Marysville, California, Tuesday, April 2nd, 2019, 6:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mr. Simmons?
Here.
Mr. Buttacavoli? Here. Ms. McKenzie?
Here.
Mr. Hudson?
Here.
Mr. Samayoa?
Here.
All right, would everybody please stand for the flag salute? Ready? Pledge.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. This time, I'd like to ask City Manager Brown if there's any changes to the agenda.
There are none.
Thank you. And with that, we have some presentations and commendations, and Chief Sachs is, oh, I'm very sorry. I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. I have to adopt the agenda. So I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to adopt the agenda 4-0. Thank you. All right, now we can move on to our presentations and commendations. Chief Sachs. And do you have a paper down
Read
there?
out loud what they are on top of.
Okay. We do it.
Yeah. I think she has it. Okay. Don't dump that back on me.
You want to go first? I get to do this first. All right. Oh, I guess I get to go first. I'm so excited to be doing this. I'm so proud of our staff. And so this is, first proclamation is recognizing the National Public Safety Dispatcher Week in the City of Marysville. And so would you like to come up, all the dispatchers, would you like to come up as I read this for you? Now, is this everybody, or there's more, right? Somebody's working right now. All right, but we all know your faces and your voices, too. All right. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel is critical to the protection of life and the preservation of property, and whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Marysville Police Dispatch Center, and whereas public safety dispatchers are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services, and whereas public safety dispatchers of the Marysville Police Department have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, the suppression of fires, and the safety of the community, and whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their duties in the past year, now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Marysville call upon everyone in our community to recognize and thank all of our public safety dispatchers in the City of Marysville. So I would love to present this to all of you. Would somebody like to hold it, and can I shake your hands and thank you?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I know personally I have called several times, and whenever I call, you are always also helpful, so patient and calm, and I know you have other things going on, and you're very respectful, and just you always do your job well, and I know that when I come down to visit, you're just very kind and accommodating. I know that it's not only with me, it's with the public as well, so I just want to thank you on behalf of our public and on the City Council for just being wonderful, doing a great job. We appreciate you very much. Do you want to say anything about your people?
Absolutely. So it's my honor and privilege to be up here with this group and along with the other three that can't make it this evening. Truly the heartbeat behind the organization. And when I say that is because they're stuck in a room, and I swear it's like a 10 by 10 room. It's almost like a jail cell in the center of the organization down there. And typically it's one dispatcher on at a time. Daytime it's typically two, but other than that it's one on at a time. So they're answering all 911 calls, all the regular business line calls, other non-emergency numbers. I think there's like 6 different lines that go in there. While they're talking on the phone, answering all those questions, they're also dispatching police and fire on their radio at the same time. So it truly takes a multitasker to do their job. A lot of us on patrol on the sworn side, we go in there and we're terrified and we never want to go back in there. So it really takes a special person to do what they do. And, you know, for them, we get to go out in the field and we get to go out and patrol and stuff, but they're stuck behind the scenes and nobody ever sees them. And for me, they're the unsung or unseen heroes of the department, because they experience people calling in on their worst day. Nobody calls in and says, hey, I just want to thank you for a great job that you do. And nobody says, hey, I just called to say hi, I'm having a cup of coffee, what are you doing today? Like they do when we're out in the field. You know, all the calls that they get for service, 90% of the time, they're talking to people on their worst day. They were just victimized and something happened. So they're going from one regular call to the next stressful, high priority call, trying to calm people down, to talking on the radio, trying to send officers there and get information. So we're only as good as we are because of the support network we have. And these ladies and gentlemen are the heartbeat behind that support network for us. My hat's off to them, an outstanding group that we have, and I couldn't be happier to be working with them. So my hat's off to you guys. Congratulations on, Telecommunications Week. We are going to have a party in a week and a half, and we're going to have a very good time at that party. I can guarantee that. And I just want to thank you guys for each and everything that you do for us every day, because a lot of times when we're at home sleeping, they're there answering the phones and everything else. So, you know, for all of us in this community, my hat's off to you guys. So thank you guys very much for what you do.
Camera, is there a photo?
Thank you, guys. Sideways, Chief. Yeah.
Good job. Well, they like the proclamation. Good. Unsung hero. First water is back.
Responded just fine to the
All right, our next presentation is on behalf of our volunteers, our police volunteers. Would you all like to come up? And we have, how many more? Okay. All right, thank you so much. I'm so glad you could be here. And I know there's some more volunteers that weren't able to be here tonight, so you get to represent everyone. So here is our proclamation, appreciating you. This is declaring the week of April 14th through 20th, 2019 as National Volunteer Week in the City of Marysville. Whereas volunteering is a creative use of human resources for the creation of a healthy, productive, and humane society, and whereas experience teaches us that government by itself cannot solve all of our city's problems, and that volunteering has become essential to the growth and well-being of the City of Marysville. Whereas Marysville police volunteers truly care and share generously of themselves, transforming limited city resources into limitless possibilities. And whereas volunteerism is a fundamental element that allows the Marysville Police Department to accomplish its mission to reduce the fear and occurrence of crime and engage citizen participation. And whereas Marysville police volunteers enthusiastically donated 1,107 hours in 2018 to the City of Marysville. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Marysville call upon all citizens to recognize and commend all the volunteers in our community for their service. Yes, and I just want to thank you too. And whenever you all represent our community so beautifully, whenever you're at events or out in the public, and doing any of your service, you're always so kind, so engaging, so happy. So you really you make us look really good. So thank you. And it just says good things about who we are as a city. And so I just appreciate each one of you, and definitely would not be the same without you. And not just that you're a volunteer, but who you each are as individuals are just wonderful, beautiful, generous people that we appreciate so much. So thank you for your service. And while Chief I get to give you this. Here you go. On behalf of the City of Marysville, there you go. Thank you very much. Thank you for serving. And we have some new volunteers as well, so I appreciate, yeah, thank you. And while Chief Sachs is saying all his good things about you, I have a Marysville fire pin to present to you as well.
Again, I've got this honor and pleasure to represent this group here. This group is near and dear to my heart because I supervised it for a long time before I was appointed chief. And it was hard letting this group go to somebody else. And so they're in good hands with Lieutenant Barber, and they still stop by and see me all the time, which I'm grateful for. But we have this thing. Every time I see them all, I always say, "How's my favorite ladies?" and Rick. And so, because I can't leave Rick out. I mean, Rick alone donated 433 hours out of 1,107 this last year, which is an average of like 36 hours a month. Now, his wife isn't so happy with me, but Rick does a tremendous job for us. The rest of these group, I mean, these ladies and Rick, I can't thank them enough. They're like family to me. You know that. And anytime I need them for anything, they're there. Just some of the small things, I mean, just to say a few things. All of our special events in the city, this group walks door to door, every single business, every single residence within the route that we're going to close, personally hands them a notice to let them know that we're going to be closing it down for a special event. They put up posters all over town. During the Peach Festival, they drive their own personal cars to Nevada City, Grass Valley, Roseville, Yuba City, as far away as Chico and Butte County, to put up all of our Peach Festival posters and flyers for us, and just representing the city in that fashion. Rick does our range. He handles a bunch of our vehicle stuff. You name it, Rick does it. I mean, to Linda and Sharon doing our filing and helping us out and bringing them on board this year, which is a great asset for us. Every special event that we have, they come out also, and they also handle our lost and found for the children that get lost and found. So they actually stay with them and help. They sometimes work the front counter, filing in the department. I probably already said that, but there's just, the list goes on of what they do. They help out with all of our filing downstairs as well, with our training and our purging. Helen and Betty and Patsy came in and I said, we need to purge records, and it was like from the 70s on up. And they spent a tremendous amount of time in the dungeon just standing there purging records and files for us. Jan this year, when we had the Paradise Fires, she's also our police chaplain. She volunteered her time at the Paradise Fires up there, doing a lot of great work up there representing our agency. So I can't thank enough for this group. 1,107 hours seems like a lot, but it seems like they're a lot more than the 1,107 hours. And I'm sure in 2019 there'll probably be a lot more hours than that just because of who they are. So truly grateful for you guys being a part of our organization, and I'm truly honored to call you guys my friend and work with you guys. So thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you for being a good student.
There goes the camera. Get behind the camera. Sorry, well, I think the government's good. Good job.
All right, thank you, everybody. Next is our Community and Consent Calendar Forum. Individuals wishing to address the City Council concerning consent calendar items or on matters not already on the agenda are invited to make oral comments of up to 3 minutes. When you are called by the mayor, please go to the podium and give your name clearly for the audio recording. You are requested to address your comments to the vice mayor and council and not to the audience. By state law, the council is not permitted to undertake any action or discussion on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. If you would like a response from the council, please fill out a speaker's card and you will be contacted within the next few days. All right, at this time, I'd like to welcome any members of the public who'd like to make a comment.
Comment?
Comments, yes.
Go ahead.
This is on anything that's not on the agenda already, or if it's on the consent agenda, you can, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, go, oh, okay.
I'm just saying I support this 100%.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We're glad you're here.
Yeah.
Any other members of the public liking to make a comment?
Hello, I'm Henry Stevie. I'm coming from Tracy's Diner again. I appreciate the fact that after my last comments, I got to have a meeting with Marty and Steve. The meeting went well. It didn't go the way I wanted it to go, but it went well. You have requested for me to paint over my sign again. I just want you to understand what you're doing. In the past 4 weeks, almost every day, someone from Yuba City that doesn't know I exist come in my restaurant, spend their money that you get revenue from to put in to the police force, your wages, our parks and rec, whatever you want to spend it on. And you're wanting me to paint over this sign. During the meeting, you were willing to waive that so I could have a pole sign, which you've made illegal in you're willing to waive that, but you're not willing to waive. 2 years is all I requested. Make me established restaurant in the city of Marysville. My money, my revenue goes to you. You get a cut way before me and my wife. Me and my wife hope to be in the black in November. Hope. Last year we were not. Am I going to keep investing in this city when I have to paint over signs that bring revenue to us? Am I going to keep doing that? Just so you know, I'm going to invest another $200,000 next door to put a sports bar in the city of Marysville, to put a place where people can come watch a real sports game and compete with the Happy Vikings, the Applebee's, the Chili's, the ones across the river that you get no revenue, zero. And I'm going to give that to you. I'm going to try. I'm trying my hardest here. And later you're going to hear some other stuff I'm doing. Down the line, you're going to see open markets. You're going to see car shows. You're going to see things that's happening. I know it's not on D Street, not by me or my wife's choice. We fought for 3 years to get on D Street. But we're going to be off the street, but we're going to bring things to Marysville. And that's our goal. But I'll paint over the sign, but if you at least give me until the rain stops, I don't know, unless you want wet paint everywhere down the alley. But please, think about it. Council, you could do this. Don't leave it up to the 3 people we pay. You guys could do this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your business. Any other members?
Good evening. My name is Jason Roper, and I work with Yuba County Probation. I'm the manager for the Victim Services Unit. I'd like to just start by echoing kind of what Chief Sachs said about your dispatchers and volunteers. He chose a heart to use as an analogy, and if you think about what they do, they're the ones feeding the fire department and the police department, kind of directing them like a heart would do with our blood. So they are invaluable. Even in my organization, they're the people that we typically talk to first and have the most information for us to help those that have been victimized in the city of Marysville. So with that being said, I'm actually here tonight to talk to you about National Crime Victims' Rights Week. It begins Sunday, April 7th, and it continues on for 7 days. And here in Yuba County, we have some events to recognize that a lot of us are victimized. And so Sunday night, which is the first day of National Crime Victims' Rights Week, we will be hosting our 28th annual Candlelight Vigil here in the city of Marysville. And it's a Yuba Sutter event. We included Sutter County Victim Services, their program, and their individuals that have been victimized with our program about 5 years ago. And so at this event at 5:30 on Sunday evening at the Government Center here in Marysville, we will have sandwiches and chips and drinks. We do dinner for people first. And then at 6:30, we'll actually begin our candlelight vigil. And we have speakers, people that have lost loved ones. The event is to remember those that have been taken from us, so those people that have been killed. We have a pretty extensive list here in Yuba County. But we will conclude that evening after the speakers outside with a balloon release. So we read the names of those individuals that have been murdered here in Yuba County, or Yuba County residents. So when I say Yuba County, I'm being inclusive of the city of Marysville and Wheatland as well, just so you all know, but may have been murdered somewhere else outside of our county. On Tuesday, April 9th, I do not have an invitation for you guys, so I would encourage you to write this one down. We will be at our Board of Supervisors meeting, one, proclaiming this National Crime Victims' Rights Week, but two, we give an annual Victim Services Award to our partnering agencies or individuals from our partnering agencies and community groups. And so from your city this year, we're honoring Detective Lemire. And so he will be receiving something, and he will have to listen to me talk. So if you would like to hear the nice, kind things that we have to say about Detective Lemire and the police department, I would encourage you to come on Tuesday, 9 o'clock. Lastly, our Courage Awards. I know I'm out of time. I have an invitation for you. This is an event where we partnered again with Sutter County. It will be held in Sutter County. And we pick individuals that have demonstrated an extraordinary amount of courage after being victimized. And this year we're recognizing 2 women and their children, their daughters respectively, each one, that were brutally raped and tortured over a period of hours and shot at and all kinds of different things. But through all of that, they've made meaning of what happened to them, and they've recovered, and they are giving back to their community. But also they continue to be victimized and demonstrate courage. So hope to see all of you Sunday evening, 5:30, and then on Tuesday.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roper. We appreciate you. Any other members of the public wishing to speak? All right.
Good evening, Madam Vice Mayor and council members. My name is Diane Fink, and I'm a resident and homeowner on Pine Street in Marysville. I've been here before. I probably am going to repeat myself and sound like a squeaky wheel, but out of the kindness of Marysville's heart and the Housing Authority,
They enabled me to totally renovate my home. It looks magnificent. It's beautiful. I want to say thank you. But the street is in such disarray and dire repair. I don't know if it can be fixed. And those trees are just, they're lethal. The branches are falling, the big heavy branches are falling off these trees. They're breaking windshields on vehicles. They're ruining plants. They're coming close to hitting people. You've already repaired my sidewalk, the one I sprained my ankle in, and I want to say thank you for that as well. But I just really hope that there's something in the works relatively soon to address that street. And we're also having extensive traffic on that street that just fly down it. And because Recology, they've been out to speak with me as well. I believe his name was Dave, the head guy, but he said there's nothing they can do as far as street sweeping. And so my neighbor and I have taken it upon ourselves to sweep our street and clean it as best we can. But the dust gets embedded in all the alligator cracks on that street, and when these cars just fly down it, it just spews everywhere. So my beautiful paint job is getting extremely dusty. My brand new windows I can't open, and I'm just begging you to just maybe revisit that and please address it as soon as it's possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sure our Community Development Director is taking notes over there.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak? All right, seeing none, let's move on to the consent calendar. All matters on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and are therefore approved by one motion, unless a council member, a member of the public, or a staff member first requests that a matter be removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion and action. What is the will of the council?
Approve consent.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved with a 4-0 vote. All right. First item for business on the regular agenda, action items, is a public hearing. Resolution approving an amendment to the franchise agreement with Recology. The recommendation is to hold a hearing and receive public comment regarding approving an amendment to the franchise agreement with Recology Yuba Sutter. Action may include adoption of resolution number 2019-18, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Marysville approving an amendment to the franchise agreement with Recology Yuba Sutter. Ms. Brown, would you like to expound on that?
Certainly, yes. Thank you, Vice Mayor McKenzie. Vice Mayor and Council, the item that is before you this evening is an amendment to the collection service agreement with Recology Yuba Sutter, which was originally approved in September 2018 after a couple of years of negotiations. That agreement allows for a 10-year term with 3 5-year options for extending the agreement for a total of 25 years. The reason we're having an amendment so soon after approving that agreement was, as you may recall, 5 of the 6 jurisdictions in the Yuba Sutter County region negotiated their agreement with Recology together. The only one that did not was the City of Yuba City, negotiated a separate contract agreement with Recology Yuba Sutter. And so part of our agreement with Recology was that if anything additional came out of that, additional benefit came out of that for Yuba City, all the other 5 jurisdictions would also receive the same benefit. So this item and this amendment is going before all 5 other jurisdictions. Either one went, I believe, last week, and the rest are going in the month of April to their governing boards. That's both Yuba Sutter counties, Live Oak, and Wheatland, as well as Marysville. The highlights of the additions here this evening are hiring a full-time recycling coordinator, which was not in the original agreement, providing drop box containers to assist with community cleanup events, on-call collection of illegally dumped items, and a bulky item collection service. So those were the main highlights and additions to this amendment, and that, if approved this evening, will become part of the overall completed collection service agreement with Recology Yuba Sutter. And that concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you very much. So at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing. So if there's any members of the public who would like to speak on this, you may approach. All right, I see nobody would like to speak on this topic, so I'm closing the public hearing. And now I'll take comments from the council.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
What's the benefit of this Yuba Sutter, or the Sutter amendment? Yuba City, excuse me. What do we get for that, other than the fact of the recycling coordinator? What else will the City of Marysville benefit from?
Well, there's also the Dropbox containers to assist with community cleanup events, on-call collection of illegally dumped items, which were not in the original
Go
agreement.
back to that Dropbox. Does that mean if we have a city cleanup, they'll bring a toter out and you can fill it up? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
At no charge?
I have to go look at the exact amendment.
I was looking for that and I didn't.
Exhibit, let's see.
In the past, they have dropped those off at no charge, and I'm just curious if that's going to be continued.
Community cleanup events, contractor shall, in response in the written request of contract administrator, deliver and collect Dropbox containers for use in city community cleanup events.
Okay. That's the
So from
benefit.
looking at it, it looks like that is continue to be a free service. That's correct.
Thank you.
I think, is there any other comments from the council? All right, seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2019-18.
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved with a vote of 4-0. Next item for business, discussion and action calendar. All matters in this section of the agenda are discussed and will be acted on individually. Members of the public may request to speak on any of these items for up to 3 minutes when the mayor calls for public comment. Please go to the podium and wait to be recognized by the mayor. Okay, first item, 10A, resolution approving the agreement with YCM Baseball Group, LLC. Recommendation to approve resolution number 2019-19, a resolution of the Council of the City of Marysville approving a 3-month facilities use agreement between the City of Marysville and YCM Baseball Group, LLC, for the use of Bryant Field. Ms. Brown.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and Council. Again, this item has been a bit of a long time in coming. As you may recall, last fall, the previous owners of the Gold Sox team decided that it was not a lucrative investment for them and decided to close their ranks here in the City of Marysville and close their business and the team. But there were some local investors that decided that they would like to invest in the Gold Sox team, and they acquired it from the previous owners out of, I believe, based in Oregon, as well as their, some of their equipment, and moved forward to contact the city and look for an arrangement. This is a pilot facilities agreement for just 3 months of the year, 90 days from May 1 through August. And the intention is upon hopefully, if the council decides to approve this agreement this evening, we would fairly soon be starting to talk about a longer range relationship with the current investors and owner of the Gold Sox. And that would be looking at a variety of investments in Bryant Stadium. As I think you all are aware, we do have some maintenance issues, long-term and short-term, with Bryant Stadium, and so starting to talk about both the financial arrangement as well as how we can together be partners to improve the stadium long-term. This initial agreement is really just for 90 days to kind of pilot it for both the city and for the new owners, and to see exactly how this arrangement is going to work. The total cost that's expected, or the total amount that we are expecting for leasing the stadium, is $12,000 for this 3-month period for this year only. And it requires no maintenance effort or maintaining both long-term capital improvements or short-term improvements during that 3-month window. The Gold Sox team and the owners will be responsible for any kind of maintenance activities that occur during the 90-day, 3-month facility agreement. And then, of course, it is only this one agreement for this season, and so the longer-term agreement, assuming that they'd like to move forward with it, will reopen all the possibilities for a new arrangement and a new agreement and what exactly that looks like. We have not sat down to the table yet to see that, but hopefully this will be a good relationship for both the city and for the new owners, and we can start discussing that fairly soon. That pretty much concludes my presentation, unless you have any questions for me.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any members of the public who'd like to comment on this? Seeing none, are there members of the council who would like to comment?
Yeah, I'm a little misunderstanding just in the spot that it states that it's the $12,000 for 3 months, but 2 or 3 or 4 other spots in it, it says that it goes through August 31st, which is 4 months. Is there something I'm misunderstanding there?
Oh,
It's, under section 2, it states it, under section 3, it states 4 months, and under section 5, there's a part where it states 4 months, so.
you're correct, and this is the challenge of the city manager writing the staff report and the city attorney preparing the agreement. I think my recommendation would be to council that I need to go back and confer with the city attorney, unless you know anything. I don't think you worked on this, did you, Nicole?
I did not work on
No.
this. but it
If you don't
is-
mind, I'd like to continue the item and bring it back to council on April 16th, if that would be at the pleasure of the council. That's all right.
Okay, what's the will of the council?
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure you have to do that. It's only in the agenda. I think we can make an amendment to that to 4 months and not change it, because it's not changed in the contract. It states 4 months in the contract, so I think all we have to do is just amend the recommendations to 4 months. I think we can do that with a 4/5 vote and move on with it. It's no use going, it's just a
Well, my
a
question
number.
on that, Bill, which
And
is
the
it
fee
4
changes.
months?
If he
Well,
changes
is it
them.
4 months at the price of 3?
Yeah, that's the
Or is it
question.
3 months and we see where the 4th one goes, or what they need? It sounds like, if I'm reading it correctly, that it's only a possibility they need it if they go into the playoffs or other, I think it should maybe be clarified with them.
I agree, and I would actually prefer, if you don't mind, if we continue the item till April 16th, if that's okay with the council. Because I do think there is a difference in what was discussed versus what is written here, and so I want to clarify that, and make sure that we're all on the same page, if that's all right with the council.
Mr. Hudson? Thank you. Agree. Okay, I agree as well. All right, so we'll continue this item to the April 16th agenda. Next item, 10B, ordinance number 1416, amending portions of Chapter 10.42 of the Marysville Municipal Code entitled Cruising Prohibited. The recommendation is to waive the first reading and introduce ordinance number 1416, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Marysville, California, amending portions of Chapter 10.42 of the Marysville Municipal Code entitled Cruising Prohibited. And for that, Chief Sachs, would you like to introduce that item to us?
Yes. I guess I should say, Madam Vice Mayor and Council, thank you. Before you this evening, staff recommends approving a motion to introduce the attached ordinance for first reading and set April 16th for second reading and consideration for adoption. The City of Marysville's current ordinance prohibits cruising in what they call the Central Downtown Traffic District, and staff is recommending that cruising be allowed for special events only with authorization and a valid permit from my office. Currently, the City of Marysville is host to at least 3 car shows by nonprofit organizations from April through October of each year. As of this year, Tracy's Diner has approached me with a large-scale car show that they plan to, they propose the 4th Friday of every month that would extend to April through September. In working in partnership with them and looking at their event, as part of their proposal, The organizers would like to include cruising on a designated route in the city by permit only, but in order to authorize that, the current ordinance needs to be amended to allow cruising. And so we're not looking at, staff's not looking at any specific road closures or any staff time other than meeting with the organizers of each of the events, establishing a specified route for them and designated times. So it wouldn't be bringing the notorious cruise back from here from the 90s, you know, and having it be a free-for-all. We would sit down, we would go over the guidelines, the specific dates and times, and issue special permits for that event only. And then they would have to have special placards affixed to every vehicle that was going to participate in that. So our law enforcement personnel would be easily able to recognize and identify those vehicles that are in that cruise per se. And then all others that participated or decided to engage in it that were not a part of that event would be regulated under the cruising ordinance. Right now, as the ordinance also states that in order to be in violation of our cruising ordinance, you have to pass by a specific traffic control point 3 or more times, but on the third time, one of my guys must have to be standing there, but before the third time, we're supposed to give them a warning, so if we see them the fourth time go by that same spot, then we can write them a citation. So we'll probably come back and visit that again in the future. However, to draw attention to these special events or these car shows and stuff like that, not only for Tracy's Diner, but we've got the Linda Lions Club, we've got another club that does one, we have the charter school that does one, and so exploring this opportunity for them as well, and they would all probably have different routes based on where their event would be, but it's also to kind of bring the roots back to the 50s and 60s and let these guys come and show off their cars and bring some people back down to the downtown. So that's what staff's proposing on our end. We'll monitor it, we'll regulate it, and then, you know, we'll work with the organizers as we move forward. So I'd be happy to entertain any other questions you might have.
All right, thank you so much. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak on this topic?
Hi, I'm Bob Fischetti. I own 93Q Radio, and the reason I want to speak on this is because I've been a hot rodder for years and have gone to the Nationals and up to Reno for Hot August nights, and it's a great thing to own a car, but to just go park it somewhere after you put all that money in it, to be very honest from a car owner's perspective, and again, a lot of these nonprofits are having a struggle because car guys are just, mine's sat in the garage all year. Why would I pay a lot of money? I'm not even helping anybody to go do that. But the minute you change it, where these guys are driving these cars, you change the dynamic. It happened in Reno, and now they've had to separate Hot August nights. Now it happens in multiple locations. Cool April nights up in Redding. The minute you add a cruise to it, you change the dynamic of it, and you can bring in people for that, and it does change economically for the area that permits that. So from that standpoint, I'd like to, you know, be pro for this, not just as a guy that drives a hot rod, love to get it out of the garage, but because I know economically it can be a benefit to the city. Not just the permits, I mean to the business owners. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Chris Pettigo, 103 and a half C Street for the next 20 minutes. I rise in support of this. My grandfather showed cars. He participated in a lot of car shows and cruises. My family's lived in this community for a long time, and hot rodding and cars make the community and what Tracy's wants to do, and other groups. I've shot so many of the car shows with my camera. It's just amazing. It'll bring a great benefit to the city, and I want to applaud Chief Sachs for finally making this work. So thank you, and I rise in support.
Okay. Thank you so much, and we're going to miss you, Mr. Pettigo.
Again, Henry Stevie, and again, I'd like to thank Chief for letting this go forward. We sat down, had some meetings with us. This isn't about Tracy's Diner. I'm not going to make any money off this. We actually talked about trying to donate all the permit stuff to the volunteers that you just gave a citation to, because it takes money for what they do. It takes money for the police to have those volunteers, and there's another, and they're nonprofit. And this doesn't have to be just what we're asking for on Friday nights. Yuba City's going to have a bunch of car shows. They do some really good ones, and they're going to want to come because Marysville was known for the cruise. I grew up on the cruise. I could have brought in a whole bunch of husbands and wives that said, I met my wife on the cruise, and they're still married. We shut it down, and we kind of hurt our town a little bit on Friday and Saturday night because every gas station, every fast food, and it does get out of control. The permit will keep it under control, having to get a permit. And this is another revenue stream for the city, which is a good thing instead of fee-based, revenue-based. It's a positive thing. It works for business. It will work for a city too. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Members of the council.
To the chair.
Sir.
I was cruising before any of you were born. Drive-ins were an open deck, buddy. Right. Love to go through drive-ins. Anyway, I think it's a great idea, and it's about time we got progressive and opened up the streets again for our people in their cars. Law enforcement, thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I was going to just say, you guys in the 90s had nothing on us in the 70s and the late 60s.
Go back to the 50s.
We probably had it on you guys, but no, I think it's a great idea. I think I offered to you, Chris, and I'll offer with you. If you want to put some live music out there, I'll help you get some lined up. We'll get that working. I got a little handle on that. I think it's a great idea. The only question that I actually had was on the permitting for the cars. Is there going to be a charge for that, or is it just going to be basically getting their information?
Not from the city or our department, no. So
Okay.
the event organizer, it's their event on private property. So in order to have the cruise, since it's on public property, they would come and meet with us. We would authorize the route and make sure what's within the confines and the guidelines that we feel comfortable with. We would issue them a small little permit that, kind of like a business license permit, and for that event only, and that's it. So there's no fee on our end. I mean, that would take a matter of 15 minutes on our end to discuss those items and get that done and get them that permit. So when he's talking about the permit, I think it's up to them on the private side. If they charge the car show enthusiast to be a part of the cruise and they charge for those permits, then that's up to them. What we did discuss on how we would identify the people that were participating, there would have to either be a sticker put up on the window, but if you are a car fanatic, nobody wants you to touch their car. So they came up with a good idea of those, like the door hangers for your doors, like the pest control guy comes and puts the door hanger on your door. Well, if you get those door hangers, you can hang them from the rear view mirror, and that way it'll be, clearly identified. So that will be up to them on their side and what they do as far as raising money on their end, but our side won't have that fee.
Well, just to be clear on it, I was hoping that there wasn't a fee.
Right. Not on our end.
Yeah,
There's not.
there's
There's none proposed at this time.
And by the way, I just came back from Pleasanton's car show yesterday with all the new parts for my car. I won't have it ready for this one, but I might have it ready for next year's. Thank you.
All right. Have any comments, Mr. Hudson?
No, I like the idea. I'm a transplant to Marysville. I always thought it was odd when I came here in '92. The first sign I saw when I rolled in town was cruising prohibited. But it took me time to figure out what that was in the early '90s, and so I'm stoked to see that something like that might come back to honor the tradition of the hub. So, well done, you guys.
A follow-up, Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
If I remember correctly, one of the biggest barriers to why that was canceled in Marysville was the noise, the radios, the boom boxes. So you need to make sure that that noise abatement isn't going to cause a problem again.
It will.
Well, that's what killed it last time, so I'll leave it at that.
Maybe,
I can
maybe
assure
because
you-
it's a new thing.
I can assure you that we'll,
You know, what we can do at 93Q is we can play the music for it, because it's not how loud it is, it's what kind it is.
Right. Okay.
I'm just saying.
All right, thank you.
I believe that, Madam Mayor, if you want.
Chief, would you like to continue? Oh, if somebody would like to speak, please, the public comment is actually over, so I'd like to continue with Chief Sachs. Thank you.
in reference to that and any other law violations, our patrol staff will be closely monitoring to make sure that the rules of the roadway are followed, and if there's, if they aren't met, then we will handle that accordingly with the event organizers. But I can assure you that one of our top officials in the police department will probably be on site to partake and maybe make sure that we regulate such an event. So we'll make sure we keep a handle on it.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I want to get in one of those cars, so I'll have to find somebody to ride with. So thank you. I'm excited about this and excited about what it's going to do for Marysville. I think a lot of people are going to be excited about it. Probably won't care about the loud noise at first because it's something happening. So thank you very much for bringing this forward to us, and thank you for inspiring this event. All right. So with that, I need to find my reading. I would like to.
We just accept the motion?
That's what I'm about to do. So I need a motion to waive the first reading and introduce ordinance number 1416.
So moved.
Okay, a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed with a vote of 4-0.
Ordinance number 1416, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Marysville, California, amending portions of Chapter 10.42 of the Marysville Municipal Code entitled Cruising Prohibited.
All right, thank you very much. Next item for business, 10C, form and appoint an ad hoc committee. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, now I need to make a motion to introduce ordinance number 1416, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Marysville, amending portions of Chapter 10.42 of the Marysville Municipal Code entitled Cruising Prohibited. Do I have a motion?
I thought we did that.
Well, now we have to, that was waiving,
Waiver.
so we
That was
waived the first reading, and now, I'm sorry, I'm not speaking loud enough, and now we're introducing the ordinance.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved with a vote of 4-0. And are we done with that then? Okay. I'm the new. All right, next item, form and appoint ad hoc committee for bond issuance and reissuance process. So the recommendation is to form and appoint an ad hoc committee to review and provide feedback on the bond issuance and reissuance process, and to return to the full council with a recommendation. Ms. Brown, do you have?
Yes, as the council knows, during the financial study session that we had back in late January, and our bond financial advisor, Bud Levine, was here. We started talking about the idea of reissuing bonds and issuing new bonds, so reissuing for the B Street property and potentially issuing a new bond, a pension obligation bond for the city's unfunded pension liability. And so we're hoping to bring that back to the council for consideration at the April 16th meeting. Our bond financial advisor recommended that we establish an ad hoc, so a short-term council committee, to participate in kind of an overview, maybe a deeper dive, I guess I would say, an explanation of what the whole process would look like, the bond issuance and also the reissuance, and then be able to come back as to the full council with a recommendation and feedback for the council in addition to his presentation to the council. So it is a fair amount of detail and a little bit complex, and so his recommendation was it would be best to form an ad hoc committee like he's done in several other cities. So I wanted to recommend that to the council, see if the council was interested in considering that option.
Thank you very much. And actually, I've talked to Mr. Betacavoli, and if there's no objections from the council, I'd like to suggest that Mr. Betacavoli and I would be the members on that ad hoc committee.
I'm good with that.
I agree with that also.
I'm good.
All right, and so do we need a motion for this to approve that?
I think we do, don't we? Yeah, we do
Okay,
need a motion.
do I have a
yes.
motion?
I make a motion for Bruce and you, Stephanie, to go and be on the ad hoc committee.
All right, thank you. Second?
Yes.
Anybody have a second? Can't do it. All right, we have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved with a vote of 4-0. All right. Time for committee reports. Are there any committee reports? No committee reports? All right.
Done. Marty, have you guys had a chance to look at, what we were talking about with these committees to either dissolve or move forward? Have you guys had a chance to even do anything?
No, we have not. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No problem.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council correspondence? None. City managers report?
I just would mention, because this ribbon cutting was canceled from today, so just as a reminder to everyone that we will be having a ribbon cutting for the new solar project panels. I know for some people they don't seem that new, but we did have our first recent cleaning and checkup, if you will. And NG, who was our provider for that project, is very interested in presenting a plaque to the city for its leadership in green energy and technology. And so they will be on hand for the ribbon cutting and plaque presenting, which will happen out here in the City Hall parking lot on April 16th at 5 o'clock, just before council meeting.
All right, thank you very much. All right, council comments. Mr. Betacavoli.
The only thing I want to really comment on is what came up with, and has been going on and on with this sign issue that I just want to throw out. I understand, if I caught right from what Mr. Seavey said, was that we're talking about waiving to put a pole sign up as a possibility. And being on that sign committee that went through that thing with a fine-tooth comb at one point, although it didn't get to the council the same way we wrote it, one of the most extreme things that was on there was that we didn't want any more pole signs. So if we're going to waive something, let's look at waiving what's there and what he's got. And I don't know how far out of touch it is with what we have in that sign ordinance, because it got changed so much that I know, that I'm aware of, that I know of. So I really think we should take a look at not incurring a cost of putting a pole sign that we absolutely, everybody had input that we wanted to get away from pole signs, and try to work somewhere with them on what they have. If we're going to waive something, let's waive what they've got and have what they've got there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Simmons.
I would like to continue that a little bit. I read that sign ordinance forward and backwards, and when I read about a roof sign, it talked about a feature. I don't know that painting a sign on a rooftop is a feature. So, I mean, that's a direct quote. It's a feature. It is not a feature. It's a piece of, it's painting. And I agree with my colleague to my left, Mr. Bucavoli, pole signs, it takes a lot away, and it's in the ordinance not to allow them. Why don't we just waive the sign, let the gentleman have the sign on top of the roof. He'd never see it coming over unless you look for it. And I got to be honest with you, you got to look for it to see it. And it's not hurting anything. It's not a feature. So I would suggest that we look at it, just waive it, and let's say go for it, and then move on.
Thank you. Mr. Hudson.
I would have to reiterate what both Bruce and Bill said. I mean, I actually haven't really seen it. I've heard about it. I was there on the committee when we did the original sign ordinance a while ago. There was a lot of minutia in that ordinance, and where it ended up coming to the council was different than the way we originally built it. So it left me confused on where we sit with it right now. I would like to see a little bit of clarification on that. It's I'm not exactly sure what it is. Wasn't there an issue with medical overlay in that area too? If different sign ordinance inside of the medical overlay, I'm not 100% sure if that might fit in that area. I don't know. I would like to have a conversation with that and see where we're at with that.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll have some more conversation about the sign. And I just want to thank everybody right now for coming tonight. My comments are, I'm just very happy that we've had the community participating in our meetings. It's always great to see you. We're about to go into closed session, so we'll adjourn the meeting after our closed session. So thank you very much. We probably won't see you, but thank you for coming. We'll see you next time. And right now, I'd like to adjourn to closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8, conference with real property negotiator Marty Brown regarding the Plumas Lake Golf Course located at 1551 Country Club Road, Olivehurst, California, 95961. Terms of lease and price will be discussed.
Hey.
I guess I should leave that.
You know, we weigh things that are more important than that. Good. That'll probably kick them off because we want to wait. That's the smallest
Okay. All right, I'm reading, we're coming out of closed session with no reportable action. We are adjourning to the special meeting of the City Council on April 16th, 2019 at 5:30 PM.